in the former communist state of Slovenia.
This is more about the president and Putin developing a personal relationship at the beginning.
Vladimir Putin, as someone who had, I'm sure, a very thick dossier on President Bush, was trying to find his weaknesses, appeal to his personality traits.
Putin went for Bush's strong Christian faith.
President Putin told President Bush about the time his dacha burned down and a religious medallion which had belonged to his mother, which had gotten lost, and he thought this was irretrievably gone, and then a fireman brought him this kind of almost like a holy relic. It was a very affecting, emotional story, and had some effect on President Bush.
Question to President Bush: is this a man that Americans can trust?
I'll answer the question. I looked the man in the eye. I found it to be very straightforward. I was able to get a sense of his soul. He's a man deeply committed to his country and the best interests of his country.
And Bush gives that line, right? That I looked into his eyes and got a sense of his soul. And we go, uh-oh. And Condi does her version of not comfortable. She just reacts, just for a second.
For the moment, Putin had won over the American president.
He was trained not to reveal his soul, to say so, if he has any. His life experience didn't allow him to reveal any inner him, any true him, to any representative of the West.
Thank you. Very good job.
West, for him, remains to be the enemy. And the United States, as the leader of the West, is the enemy number one.
And soon, more fuel for Putin's grievance with the U.S.
U.S.-led attack on Iraq.
The Iraq War.
Shock and
Regime change at the hands of the Bush administration.
the Stars and Stripes have come to town. Saddam Hussein's reign of terror is over.
The Iraq War was absolutely a turning point in a very significant moment of rupture in the relationship between Putin and President Bush.
For Putin, echoes of the final days of the Soviet Union.
The tyrant has fallen, and Iraq is free. And everywhere that freedom stirs, let tyrants fear.
An adventure like the Iraq War shows him that, look, they'll just come in and they'll just take out a government and think nothing of it. And that's not the way he wanted the world to work.
And it is both our responsibility and our privilege to fight freedom's fight.
Bush called it the Freedom Agenda, a plan to export American democracy around the world. Putin saw it as a direct threat to his own plan to restore Russian greatness.
Vladimir Putin concluded that the United States, when possible, would use its power and leverage to depose leaders that it did not agree with. And from Vladimir Putin's perspective, that was an existential threat.
The Bush Doctrine is spreading freedom around the world.
Under Bush, that threat was extending to Putin's own backyard.
Responsibility around the world to extend freedom.
Popular uprisings in former Soviet republics.
Bush really believes that democracy can be planted almost anywhere.
Americans, respect your courageous choice for liberty. The American people will stand with you.
Putin concluded that these were efforts by the United States and our intelligence services to, in fact, install in these neighboring countries regimes that would be anti-Russian.
Putin had seen enough. He would fight back.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is speaking at an international conference in Germany.
He'd do it in Munich, Germany, issuing a warning to America and the world.
And so he comes to the security conference in Munich and says, basically, I don't have to mince words, do I? I can say what's on my mind. And then he just lashes out and he lists all these resentments.
Прежде всего, конечно, Соединенных Штатов перешагнула свои национальные границы и, по сути, во всех сферах, и в экономике, и в политике, и в гуманитарной сфере навязывается другим государствам. Ну, кому это понравится? Кому это понравится? Почему же сейчас?
My head snapped. It was so searing and blunt, and I felt this was the real guy.
И это, конечно, крайне опасно. И ведет к тому, что никто уже не чувствует себя в безопасности. Я хочу это подчеркнуть. Никто не чувствует себя в безопасности.
Putin echoed Cold War rhetoric by accusing the U.S. of making the world unsafe.
Premier Vladimir Putin left no doubt who he sees as responsible for the current global crisis.
Putin, clearly in this speech, was drawing a line and saying, we're not going to try anymore.